2D assets from the asset store here. I could get all these jump attacks, attack animation, etc. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Thank. Uh, Wait a bit. So we are gonna upgrade now. This. Go to the player now. Add component called animator, and after this, go to the assets and create folder for animations. This create animator controller and name this as idle. So after this, go to the player, Dragon Warrior files, searching for an idle, just dragging into this sprite folder. So you could see there is a small player for you, and I'm adjusting it a bit. Or I would use the scaling option. So you could see here a player is generated now, and go to the animations folder and assign component, assigning component idle here. So you could see there is no animator for me. I'm adding a component now. Just a bit. Animation and an animator. So yeah, you're creating an new animation. I'm naming it as idle. Save. And now click on the player, and we could click on the red option so you could record the animation now. So I'm adding an idle animation. So click and add animation for every timeline. So I'm adding each animation. Yeah, that's it for the idle animation. So you could see the player is having just a moment. So stop for now and click on the play option. You could see, but he's on above the plane. So you could adjust the so since you could see the green boundaries here, it's colliding with the ground and having a layer a bit. So I'm adjusting this collider for now by clicking here edit collider. So run it. As you could see, there is moving. So you
Yeah.
need to add an option. Just delete. So add another animation for now. Create new clip and add creating it as an run. So save this, and after creating it, again what you have to do is record the animations. So click on the red option here and search for run. I don't have a run, so yeah, I have a walk option. So I'm importing all this to this timelines. Three and walk six. So you could see the animation here, which is a bit too fast. So I'm adjusting it. So once you press, so it gets some slow. After it, go to the animator. So you have to make transitions from every state. So once you get here, after the entry of game, you are in an idle animation. So after when you press the sidebars, so you have to make a transition from idle to run animation. So after making a transition back to idle also after you stop the run button. So click on this arrow now. You could see there are, and a minute. So I'm creating a condition, so called bool, and naming it as run. So when run is true, you're getting the run animation, and just a minute. Animations clips were deleted. Creating an idle animation again. So press the red button, idle one. Sorry for this. Idle two, idle three, idle four, and idle five. So idle 6. So press it on. So you could have an idle animation here. So you could see there is an idle animation. Bit scaling it up. So it's too short for. So yeah, I'm checking it for now. Yeah. So I'm adding an animation also. So already have one. So I'm adding the run. So since I've deleted it, I'm adding an animation to it. So click on the player and click on the red option and would add the walk animations now. Sorry, added this to an idle, so just a mistake. Sorry for that. Idle 2. Yeah, got all the idle animations. Now I'm creating a run animation. Scaling it up for every 5 seconds. 5 milliseconds, sorry. 4, walk 5, and walk 6. So you could see the animation, and in the animator I'm just making the transition from idle to run. So you could get the animation in the script. Make transition from run and run to idle. So from an idle to run, creating parameter run. So you could add the condition to this. Run equals to true, and when run gets false, you would return back to the idle animation. So just a bit. Open the script. So I'm using another variable called as anim and making it as an animator variable, private animator. So you could see there is a function. So you could use any other name, and just a bit. So making it to run. So I'm setting animator component to the variable anim, and it to get component as animator. So yeah, after getting a component from using it in update method, anim dot set bool. So set bool equals to, just a minute. If input dot get access, set the animation here. So what I'm doing here is, now if you get an horizontal input, so if input dot get access horizontal, I would like to introduce the animation now. So scaling up and creating a variable float horizontal input equals to, using this here. So I'm just using here horizontal input variable select adjustment. So yeah, and if you would set this to, just scaling it up a bit, and if input dot get keycode dot space zoom, okay, then anim dot set equals to, sorry, not equals to, you would press or run animation. So since you have named it as a run, so I'm naming it as run. When horizontal input is not equals to 0, So when you press the side key options, it the condition would be true and you get a animation. Horizontal input not equals to 0. So yeah, saving it as taking whether it runs. You could see it runs, but not clearly. You have to change the direction when it runs. So you could see to change the direction when you press a negative, you could see the player just flips around. So what you have to do in the script is now go to the script and after this could add horizontal input is greater than slight change in value 0.01. You should use an F for the float. So transform your scale, transform dot local scale. See local scale equals to vector dot 1. So when you are moving towards your right, so the x value would be greater, so I'm not changing the direction, so I'm initializing it to the 1. It is a shortened notation for making all the scaling position scale to 1. You could see a shorthand for writing vector 3 1 comma 1 comma 1. And else if horizontal input is less than the negative axis 0.01 f, you could change the scale, transform dot local scale equals to new vector, and you would change this as -1 comma 1 comma 1. So yeah, check whether it works. So you could see the player moves in the direction what we have changed now. So after flipping, you would add a jump animation to just a minute. So go to the scripts and make private bold and check whether if the object is bounded or not. So after assigning it, if input dot get key code dot space bounded. So what we are doing here is you could see we are jumping various times when it's not on ground also. So I'm adding the component called as grounded. So you could only jump once when you are that to grounded. Yeah. So I'm also adding the grounded and making another jump. So I just want to create another method jump. In this method, I would like creating a method private void jump, and here assigning these values now. So yeah, you could call the function jump here when you get a keycode dot space. So after this jump rounded equals to false. So you are not on the ground now. I'm assigning it as a false. So you want to check whether the object is on ground or not. So I'm using a method called on collision enter 2D. So what this method does is it detects if there are any collisions with what game object we are writing the script. So we are writing this for a player object. So when it touches the ground, it would return a true value. So checking if it is collision dot you are using game object now. Game object dot I would explain this just a minute. Ground. So when you're doing it, rounded equals to true. So yeah, go to the Unity again and assign a tag to the player. So I'm assigning a tag, create a tag now called what you have saved ground and add a tag here. So what you have done is you're giving a name to the collision called as ground. So when it detects a collision with the name called ground, you could get you could get this grounded equals to true. So just a minute. You could also add an animation for the jump. So create a new clip, jump, press the right record option, press jump animation for every 5 milliseconds. So I have only two for the jump. So you could see it get jumped. So after assigning it, you should jump from any state. So I'm making a transition from any state and make transition from jump to idle again. So I'm adding a condition called jump. Just a minute. Jump. So by clicking this arrow, could add the condition jump when it's sorry. Uh, I would like to jump when it's grounded. So click on this arrow and grounded is equals to true. You can jump, and when the grounded is false, you get back to the idle animation. So yeah, and you would set the animation for only one time, so you could get the animation for only one time. So I'm disabling the loop time. Just a minute. So yeah, after disabling the loop time, set the conditions and go to the code again and anim dot set bool and call it as, since you call it as grounded, so yeah, grounded, grounded, and the condition would be grounded. So you already created a boolean function for checking whether the object is grounded or not. So yeah, you're using the jump when you are grounded. So I'm also assigning an anim dot set there called jump. So what this method do is you would trigger the animation when you, so I'm creating a trigger method called jump, and I would assign it as a jump for now. Let's save this program. Just a minute. So yeah, so you could see only jump once, so I can only jump when I'm grounded. So no multiple jumps are possible now. So yeah, you could see it's a bit crampy when you're running. Just a minute. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Thank you. So after creating it, you could see you could walk around, could jump. So I think it's bit floaty. So go to the player object, and you could see I would set this gravity scale for 2. See, jump is not floaty now. So that's that's it for the player movement and the jump. So wait a bit. So yeah, just a minute. Sorry for the interruption. So I'm just checking whether it's everything is. And go to the script. Just a minute. Just a minute. Small interruption. So yeah, getting back to this. Now I'm creating a wall. So I'm pressing Control D, duplicating it. Just a minute. Just yeah, duplicate one. Call this as wall. So it would look like this. I'm adjusting it a bit. So I'm also adding, since I copied it, I also have the box collider to it. And go to the code again. Script. Just I'm also adding a jump power. So private float jump power. So I'm also serializing this so I could directly edit this in the Unity. So yeah, I'm also adding what I'm doing now is creating wall jumping. So I would jump on the walls. Uh, so I'm creating a variable called private float wall jump cooldown. So it would directly not transfer from ground to sky. So I'm adding a cooldown method. Private float cooldown, and also I'm creating a private float horizontal input so I could assign for everything. So I'm removing here. So you could see it matches for everything. Yeah. And also add a box collider variable. Would explain you this just a minute. Private float. Uh, I'm using a box collider and box collider variable. So now I'm using a method called raycast. I'll explain you a bit. Wait. Wait. tool is grounded. So I'm using a method called private and using this raycast hit 2D and assigning a variable called raycast hit and also physics 2D box 2D dot box cast. I would explain your method just a bit. Yeah, box cast box collider dot box. So what raycast does is projects a ray from what direction you have given. So see physics 2D dot boxcast box collider box collider dot setting bound dot center. So you're projecting a ray from the center of a player and also you're assigning box collider size to it. Sorry. Collider dot bounds dot size. You could see here vector to origin, vector to size, float angle, vector to direction. So where this ray gets originated from. So I've set it as a center. I'm also assigning the box collider for a size. I'm removing this on collider. I would use best for the wall jump climb. So yeah, size, comma. I'm not assigning any angle so that ray projects directly parallel what you have set for the direction. So I'm setting it to down the two dot down. So you could project a ray to the ground so you can detect collisions. The two dot down, comma, and to what extent you would extend that ray. I'm putting it as a small float variable, float constant, and also on what layer do you want to project the ray. So I'm assigning as a ground layer. So I'll just create this layer. So yeah, ground layer. So after this, I'm return recast dot collider not equals to null. So what I'm doing is recast dot collider not equals to null. So when you hit the ground, it would return something, some value, some garbage value. So when you, so I'm using a method. So here raycast dot hit collider not equals to null means it it is returning that it's on the ground, so it would not return a null value when you are on the ground, so it returns a true value. So, and also creating a layer, and also creating a layer called as serialized field, private layer mask, wall layer, sorry, ground layer, what I've created now. So ground, just a minute. uh, so I've used ground layer. So yeah, ground layer, and also want wall jump cooldown to work. So after setting this all, if wall jump if wall jump cooldown is greater than any value, so I would update it in further lines. So once you get this, you could use the wall jump cooldown method. If wall jump cooldown is greater than 0.2, just a minute. So I'm taking this from here and pasting it down here. So you would only get to jump when you are exceeding greater than zero point 0.2 value, and if it's creating another method called on wall, so you would detect if the player is on wall or not. So I'm creating a method bull on wall. So yeah, raycast hit 2D. So you're using this raycast hit 2D method again for detecting the collision with the wall. So raycast hit 2D, raycast equals to, I'm just pasting this down. So what you're doing here is a small change. You would assign a new vector, new, new vector. So I'm transforming the local scale. So transform dot local scale dot x. So what you're doing here is you're assigning the direction in the direction of what you are facing. So if you are facing for the right, you would return a value of the scale. So you are returning a direction. So when you are facing left, you would return a negative direction so that it could detect that it's on the parallel to the ground. So you are projecting the ray from the player to the wall. So I'm using this, and also since we're using vector 2, and I'm also assigning 0 as this by scale. Is everything right? Yeah. Wall layer. So return a cast hit dot collider not equal to null, same as this. So you would not return a null when you are colliding with the wall. So I'm just extending the ray to just a bit 0.1 f. So when you get near to the wall, it would detect the collision. So here, if the body is on the wall, on wall, and then operator, so not is rounded. So when your body is on the wall and not grounded, so you would set the gravity scale 0, so you would not fall from the wall. You're using this code for wall jumping, so you should not fall from the ground. So body dot gravity scale. So I'm setting the gravity scale to 0, and so making the velocity of the body to 0. Body dot velocity equals to vector 2 dot 0. Shorthand notation would see here vector 2 dot 0 comma 0. So just a minute. uh, Box collider dot bounce. I'm just changing the name so I would not get error. So it's a box collider. I would like to check what are the errors. Assembly says 57, not static field. Raycast does not contain a definition for collider. So collider dot bounce also getting a mistake here. Just a minute. I would like to clear the errors. Just a minute. So assigned everything. Yeah, not assigned the collider object to the box collider variable which I've created here. So box collider which I've created. Is there any disturbance? Hello,
That's
am I?
fine. No, that's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, at component. So you are getting the component box collider to the variable box collider. You're using box collider 2D. Yeah, reduce some error. So what I've done here is, oh, I've used an built-in function of a Unity, so I'm just clearing this box collider box. Yeah, just used everything right. Box collider dot bounce dot center. Just a minute. On the line 58, getting an error called definition for center and no accessible extension method center accepting a first argument to type box. So I'll just resolve this later. I'm continue the code here. So on wall vector 2.0. So else, so when you are using this method, it would not return to the ground state. So I'm assigning a gravity scale to 7 when it's not on the ground. So body dot gravity scale equals to, I'm assigning some random 7. I'm changing this line to this. Here so that I would not get any errors, and I'm using an else. So what you're doing now here is wall jump cooldown equals, you are updating the wall jump cooldown. So time dot delta time. So the wall jump gets updated for every frame. So when the wall jump is greater than 0.2, you would get the option to jump. So you are lagging the jump for every cooldown. And what are others? So on the jump, uh, uh, I would like to add, if sorry, it's grounded, grounded method. So I would like to jump when it's ungrounded. So will be, and also I want to edit this jump. If since I've used the raycast method, I would like to delete it. Else if I'm on a wall and not on the ground. So if horizontal input equals to 0, then input equals to 0, I would like to add
Kushik, you're unmute.
is it audible? Yeah, comma transform dot, sorry, I would like to set it as 0, so I'm using any y values. What I've done here is just after writing this code here, if, and also body dot velocity new vector 2 minus sine trans transform dot locals scale dot x, and I'm multiplying this with some 3 comma, and you're also assigning the y to change. What you're doing here is I'm using a transform dot local dot x, so it would return a value of what position you are on the x-axis. So I'm using a mathf dot sign function, so you would return the direction of the player object. So while you are wall jumping, when the player object is on the wall, so you want to jump to here. So what you're doing is you're creating a force outward and also upward to jump here. So what I've done is, when you're facing on the left side on this wall, I'm returning the sign of the function, and also I mentioned a minus, so I would make the local scale from this. So I would push the force outward in an opposite direction. So I've done that local scale and also assigned a velocity. So the player may get forced outwards and also upwards with a value 6 random value. So you could able to wall jump, and also setting it wall jump cooldown to 0. Where yeah. So I'm increasing the wall jump cooldown. So when you are wall jumping, again resetting this wall jump cooldown to 0, so you would not directly transform from here to here. So yeah, I would like to check the code got some errors. No, just a minute. Horizontal input box collider animated I mentioned everything, and also got updated, and I'm setting this to is grounded. So yeah, I've deleted the box collider. So dot velocity, and checking if everything is right. What is grounded? I'm also using here transform dot local scale equals to new. I'll explain in a minute. Wait. Just a minute. Transform dot local scale dot wires, putting the positions as same initially what they have been, and transform dot local scale dot z. So yeah, after putting all these values, just removing this. You you don't need it here. So yeah, still there are two errors called center. I know. Yeah, I think it's not center but center. Error is gone now, and also center here. So you got zero errors as you could, no issues found. And also, so what you are doing here is you also created is grounded method to check whether the player object is grounded or not, and also you're checking if the player is on the wall or not. You're using two raycast methods here, and also on wall and is grounded, so you're setting up a gravity scale to 0 so you would not fall from the wall. And else, when you are turned up a bit, you would like to fall from the ground. So when you are on this wall, so you would like to fall from this wall. So when you're clicking the right key, I would like to change it as a body gravity scale to 7 so that the object might would get back to the ground. So I'm using key code, and also here grounded. I think I've deleted it, so I'm just making this. Just a minute. So yeah, uh, and also you're updating a wall jump cooldown timer. So when you're grounded, you're setting the jump trigger. Same what I've done before. You witnessed how the jump works. So when you're on walled and when you're not on grounded, if horizontal input equals to 0, you would remain on the wall. Else, if you want to jump higher, you're transforming the scale. So since you used a negative, the force is pushed outwards, and also y force upward. So you could jump. And also I've used ground layer, wall layer, which you can edit on the Unity since I've used. And also I've not used the wall layer. Serialized field, private layer mask. Layer mask is a method to update the wall layer. Layer mask is where you update the layer of the variable. So I'm using wall layer. I think I've written the same here. So no, use the ground layer here, sorry. So I'm taking that and wall layer I've just created. I think there are no issues. Control S and go, go back to Unity and go to the player object script. There is nothing. Ground layer and wall layer. So we are creating layers now. Ground layer for the ground, add layer. So wall named as ground and also wall layer. Ground layer here. Click on the player and add the layers here. And I'm assigning wall layer to this wall and ground layer to this. So let's just check. So you can see I would jump. It's not. No, just a minute. Wait a minute. I would like to change the gravity scale. Uh, Box collider. 2, 1. So you could jump on the wall, but the jump is too crampy now. So let me change a bit. Uh, Go to the script. I've created a jump power. So and also I've not changed the jump. And I'm changing this to jump, jump power and saving this. Going back to the Unity, click on the player and you could see the jump power is 0 and I would like to add a 4. Is there any disturbance? Uh, is my voice clear?
Yes, it is clear.
Yeah. So I'm scaling up bit a jump. Like to set this jump power to 50 and check what happens now. See, you could wall jump. Yeah, working fine.
Cool.
So I'm adding another wall also. Control D and renaming it wall. So this is wall jumping and all. I like to check in on the other wall also. Working fine. I would like to add some power a bit more. So what you're doing is every time how it works and everything. So some power. Yeah, it's working fine now. This is for wall jumping, and now I would like to add a shooting. So you would create a fireballs from your player and you can shoot. So just a minute. I would like to set up. Just a minute. So I'm going to this. I'm creating a method called public kinetic. So yeah, what I'm doing here is now I am setting a condition that I would like to attack when I'm on the ground, not on the wall, and I'm also when I'm in an idle position. So I would not like to shoot when I'm running. So can attack bull and turn and attack. It's showing an error. Just a minute. Uh, public bull can attack. Zero references and I would like to set just a minute. Showing an error. Player movement dot can attack auto bots return a value. So just a minute. Uh, set set everything. So public bull can attack. I'll try returning it. Like horizontal input equals to equals 0 so you're not running away also. And is grounded uh, in the method and not on a wall. So this is it. I'm maintaining it for now. No issues found. So what when I can attack is when the horizontal input equals to 0. So when you're not running and when you're grounded. So like to attack when you're only grounded and in a stable position and also not on wall. So this is it. And save the program and go to the scripts. I would like to create another script for player attack and call it as player attack in this file. So I'm removing this. Dominating of this. I think it will take another 1.5 hours, so I would like to finish it up quickly. I'll just stop it with shooting. Private float attack cooldown. I'm also serializing this so I could edit in Unity. Serialize the field. Also, just explain why I'm creating all this. Just a minute. Serialize field and private transform, creating a variable called fire point. Transform is a type where you would like to transform the variable. So you're using transform.local scale where you're just using the local scale to change. So in that way you're using firepoint a variable as a transform method. And also serializing it and private. I would introduce you later on. Let's just create this private animator what we have created earlier on. So animator and I'll just add this later on so it would be understand better. And also uh, uh, private layer movement. which I've created early on the script player movement and create a variable with another name. So the movement. So yeah, looks fine. And also I'm setting a cooldown private float uh, cooldown timer. Cooldown timer. So I'm assigning this to a larger value. So I'm using math.infinity. Will assign this infinity and use an awake method to assign things. Anim equals to sorry anim equals to get component animator, same what we did earlier. So also you're assigning the player movement script earlier we did to this player movement variable. Player, I think it's not. This is this player movement equals to get component and player movement. Uh, yeah, this is it. No issues found. Created a script called player movement and also created a variable with another name called as player movement, and I'm assigning player movement to the script I created earlier. So I could use the functions which I used in the player movement. I'm also using an update method now. So if input dot I'll use left button of the mouse to get invoke the shooting abilities of the player. So I will use get mouse button. I think it is get mouse button. Okay. So since you're assigning it to 0, you would use it returns a true value when you click the left left mouse button, and also you would like to create the assign shooting when the cooldown timer is greater than attack cooldown. So what you're doing here is uh, the attack cooldown after the cooldown timer increases, you have an option to attack. So attack cooldown is a method you're setting up a limit to the player so that you could shoot only certain times. So when the cooldown timer is greater than attack cooldown, you can get shoot. And also player movement dot can attack. When the player can attack, which I used here, can attack. So create a function called attack. Uh, it's not coming, so I would like to create first the method. So private void attack. Hello Harshita. Hello.
Tell me.
Uh, this would take long enough, like another hour. So
Okay, okay, okay.
we stop here.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Thank you. We could continue this in another session.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. This is a really great session, Kaushik. I'm sure like many people will regret missing out.
Yeah.
And we learned how much effort a game developer has to put for a minute movement also.
Yeah.
Like
Every minute
the
movement has a condition.
yeah, I mean it's incredible. The detailed explanation which you have given is really no. Thanks a lot, Kaushik.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we wish that you become a really good, successful game developer in the future. All the best.
Thank you.
Okay. Chala, cool. Bye.
Bye.